Hello everybody, my name's Nemo and welcome back to another Magic video. Today we're taking a look at my deck build for Hall of Champions. And let's go ahead and check it out. So, when this deck first came out, I did a lot of calculating on, what is going to be the best mana base for this deck. And, I think I just used math. I just threw math at the problem. And the math said that, hey, if you want to get the best mana base, it's going to be something like, I don't know, 11, 7, 4, or I don't even know if that adds up, but it was something like that. Like 11 plains, 7 forests, 4 islands, and then the 4 terramorphic expanses. I don't know if that adds up to 24, but something like that was what I came out with to be the right mana base. Because if you look at the deck, like almost every creature or almost every spell in it costs white. There are mono white cards in the deck. There are 0 mono white, mono green cards in the deck, and there are also 0 mono blue cards in the deck. So obviously white is your main color for this deck. It's a 3-color deck, but obviously white is your main color, and green is your secondary color, and blue is your third. Like that's pretty obvious when you just look at this deck and look at what costs what. However, if you go with that, then you're gonna have a problem, and I'll tell you why. Most of the cards in this deck actually cost all 3 of your colors. You've got, like, a lot of the most powerful cards cost double colors. This is actually, I think, Jesse and Infiltrator. The two of these are, I think, the only ones that are only white. That have no white in their casting cost. Either way, like a lot of the stronger cards, like this one, these, they cost all 3 of your colors. So, what I ran into and what I found out with this deck is that you're probably not going to win a game if you don't ever draw all 3 of your colors. So the most important thing isn't to get the right mana base to where, well, I'm running so many of these cards and just count up the symbols and just go, that mathematically equates to this many plains, this many islands, this many forests. No, the best way to figure it out is just to say the most important thing is having all 3 of my colors, so I'm gonna get them as close as possible. And that's how I came up to have 7, 7, and 6. Obviously islands is the 3rd color. I don't want more than 24 lands, so I can't add a 7th island because that means I'd be running 25 lands and I don't want that. So this is just what I came up to. This is how it works out because this deck wants all 3 of them. And yes, there are some cards that require 2 planes. So that's just the thing. Like if I wanted 23 lands, I'd run it like this, but the best thing is to just get it as close as possible. So, we've got the Terramorphic Expanses, obviously they help as well. And after that, like, it's pretty easy after that one, once you figure out the mana base. You don't have to think about, do I want this many blue spells in there, or this many white spells in there, because my mana base is like such and such. No, I mean, my mana base is to the point where I just want to get all 3 of my colors. So, the only thing I need to do about the deck now is just add in the best cards, and that's actually pretty easy to find out in this deck. Like, the best cards are pretty obvious most of the time. So, got the Echoes and Squire. These are 1-drop. We want to play a 1-drop because we want to be somewhat aggressive with this deck. Not Fine Paladin is just really powerful in an Exalted deck. We've got Kozali Pride Mage, one of the best cards in the game. Pretty simple. Like, it's a very powerful card. It's a 2/2 for 2. It has the Exalted, which can be really nice, and just incidentally being able to blow up an enchantment or artifact is really, really powerful. Like, the best artifact and enchantment removal, I've always said this, is stuff that does something else when you're not destroying an artifact or enchantment, and this does that. And plus, he's a dude that sometimes you can get him back with, in certain decks, and just a really powerful guy. You basically always include these if you can. We've got Aven Squires. No, not much to say about this. Flyers, Exalted, they have some evasion, so that's why they're in there. And they give Exalted to your other stuff. These have evasion as well, so obviously these want to be in there. They can be a little bit awkward with planning out, what lands to drop on which turns. Because if you want to go turn 1 Echoes and Squire, then you can't go turn 2 Jesse and Infiltrator. The mana doesn't work out for that. We don't have duels in this game, so we don't have dual lands in this game. But other than that, like, an unblockable dude in an Exalted deck is just really good. We've got Martial Coup. This isn't really a 2-drop. It's more like a 7-drop. And it's the most expensive card in the deck, these two. If you always want to play them as 7. But I don't always want to play them as 7. Because there's something else in the deck that also works really well with this card. And it's called Sublime Archangel. Most of the time, if you drop a Sublime Archangel and you can drop it up, and you can follow it up with like a Martial Coup for 3 or 2, then you're just gonna kill the opponent that turn. So that's already just a really, really good interaction between those two cards. And then if I need some chump blockers, Martial Coup can do it. And if I need to blow up the board, it can do it if I have 7 mana out. Like, I wouldn't run this if I could only play it for 7 mana, but the fact that I can do more things with it makes it versatile enough that I want to run this card. That it's just a really strong card and just really good for the deck. And you know, again, that interaction with the angels is just pretty bananas in this deck. So you can kill people out of nowhere with that. We've got Jinara, Asura of War. So this is, most of the time it's going to be pretty difficult to drop these guys on turn 3 exactly, but you know, turn 4, these dudes, because they have three different symbols in the casting cost, means that not only are they harder to cast, but they're also more powerful than, you know, normal 3-drops in general. So that kind of makes up for it. And once you do have those 3 colors, this deck is actually really strong, because your guys are very, very powerful, and they can be really powerful early game, but they're also really good mid-range type of cards. This is really a very strong mid-range deck. So this deck, you know, just looking at it, you'd think like, oh wow, 3-color deck, probably not going to do that well in this meta. I'm actually getting really good results with this deck, so I'm really happy with this deck. Just quick comment aside there. But Jinara is pretty good. Again, evasion, and you can pump it up if you got nothing else to do with your mana. Like, sure, why not? It's a good card. So we got Guildspire Revenger. Yep, we like this guy. Destroy target creature that dealt damage to you this turn is just really, really strong. So sure, and it's an Exalted on top of that. We've got Arak's Warmonk. This is just really powerful. Like a 3/4 for 3 mana, and it has lifelink, is just a lot stronger than you think. Like lifelink often, I think, is misjudged as one of the weakest abilities, and it really isn't one of the weakest abilities, because it is actually a really strong ability, especially when you've got something like when you've got something to pump up the dude and get it to swing for more damage, such as Exalted, which this deck is all about. Then lifelink can be really, really strong, because not only are you dealing your opponent a lot of damage, but you're also putting yourself out of range. So if the only way that the opponent can actually win the game is to race you for damage, then lifelink puts that out of their hands. It makes that impossible for them. So they basically have to play the control game if you've got dudes with lifelink. So aggro decks lose to Arak's Warmonk if they can't deal with it immediately, because if you get in 1 or 2 swings with this guy, the game is out of reach for them. There's no way they can still win, and your late game cards are going to be stronger than their late game cards. So yeah, that's really important about this guy. And against control decks, he's not bad either, because he's a 3/4 for 3 mana. And you know, the lifelink can be relevant, doesn't have to be. Obviously, it's really good against dodge and burn. So yeah, just a really strong card right there. We've got Dauntless Escort. This is really good against mass removal, so obviously you include this guy, and you can do some really, really silly tricks when you combine Dauntless Escort with Martial Coup. So yeah, I'm sure you can figure out what those tricks are. We got Pariah here, just a really strong card, so we want this in there. If nothing else, it's going to be a removal, and it can be better than that. So got Band Charm, one of the best removal spells. So yeah, pretty easy include in this deck. Deals with basically anything, like, you know, oh, so you've got Undying. Well, I don't care. I'm gonna put it on the bottom of your library. So it is just a really good card. And counter target instant spell is just a really nice cherry on top of that Band Charm pie right there. So we include the best 4 casting cost guys. Rafik of the Many gives your dude double strike when it comes down, and just generally is a pretty big bomb. They have to deal with this immediately, or you're gonna get in for a lot of damage that turn. Same with Knight of New Alara. Obviously, this is a little bit less powerful than the other 4 drops. This is the worst one, I think, because it doesn't work with all of your creatures. But the ones it does work with, it's really still very, very good. Especially with Rock's Warmonk making it a 6 power guy. So we're following that up with Sublime Archangel, one of the best cards in the deck. Yeah, I mean, what do I need to say about this? We know it from the previous game. It's just a really, really strong card. And one of the reasons you want to have double white with the deck is the Sublime Archangel. But most of the time, with this mana base, I can't get the double white. Like, I just get whatever I still need with the Terramorphic Expanses or whatever. And there's some other mana fixing in this deck as well. You obviously want to include all the mana fixing in a 3-color deck, so... we've got Finest Hour. The turn this comes down, if they don't kill your attacker, or somehow you can't attack. If you can actually attack with your guy and it connects, you're probably winning the game on the spot. That's how powerful this card is. This is ridiculously good. This just ends the game. So, nothing else that needs to be said about it, just a really, really good card. We've got Gleam of Resistance. This is our land cycling card. So, we include this because it's a 3-color deck. And this is another one of those cards that makes you perhaps want to include more planes in the deck. So I guess doing something like this wouldn't be terrible either. For now I'm keeping it as simple as possible. Just have the colors as close together as possible. So all the mana fixing needs to be in the deck, basically. If you get the 5 lands, you probably have all of your colors. And you probably have double white anyways, because it generally just works out like that. So, Gleam of Resistance can still do something. And if it doesn't do anything for a while, you can just cycle it out. Yeah, you're just getting a land that you don't even need, perhaps. But, on the other hand, that makes it more likely that you will draw something useful. And otherwise, the +1/+2 can be useful. So... we've got Deft Duelist here that we're not running because First Strike Shroud. I mean, the First Strike isn't too relevant with Exalted because your guys generally will attack for more. Unless you've got multiple guys with First Strike. It's also not the best ability to have to defend against other people. Especially not with as low a power as this guy has. And the Shroud isn't that relevant either because it kind of has the same problem that the Elf deck has. If you run a dude with Shroud just to be able to attack with that, then they just blow up your other dudes, and this guy attacks for less damage. So there's not that much point in having Shroud on it, unless you're going to equip it with Loxodon Warhammer or something like that. Other than that, it doesn't have evasion, so that's also a problem with the card. In general, I mean, I'm not saying this is a terrible card, but I think the cards I have in my deck are just a little bit better than this one, so... we've got a Sigil Blessing, and it's a combat trick, and I generally don't think this deck needs combat tricks when you can just play a dude and that dude will pump your guys up in combat. So I don't see the point too much in having Sigil Blessing. Rather just run more creatures. We got Kozali Ambusher. The reason this guy isn't being run is because it doesn't have Exalted, and he doesn't do anything to really make my guys more powerful. The only thing he really does is maybe ambush something, maybe chump block 1 turn, and after that probably just sit on the board doing nothing because he's a 2/3 and that isn't too impressive. So yeah, that's why I don't run him. We've got the Guardians of Akraza, Defender Exalted. Just there are way better cards in the deck. I don't need a Defender guy with Exalted in the deck. This is basically the same story. This guy does have reach, but it only has 1 power, so it's just going to like block 2 power flyers. There aren't that many 2 power flyers in the format actually. A lot of the flyers that are in the game are more powerful and will kill this guy if it defends, so... Behemoth Sledge is pretty nice equipment, but I don't think this is needed when we already have lifelink creatures in the deck. We already have a lot of evasion creatures in the deck as well, and our creatures get pumped up by us playing other creatures, so we don't need an equipment. We've got a Wargate here, and perhaps there are some tricks you can do with this. But mostly it's just really going to be very expensive to do something useful with it, and it's not that great of card. We've got Leaden Armor Guard, which, I mean, if I was playing this deck as more of a rush deck, and wasn't relying on Exalted like this deck seems to be, then this would be a decent card. But even then, I mean, the other 4-drops in the deck are just simply better than this one. So Restoration Angel, yeah, you can do some silliness with this card, but again, the other 4-drops in the deck are simply better. I mean, just look at the kind of 4-drops the deck has. These things, when they come down, they really change combat math, and they make it so the opponent just dies in like 2 or 3 turns. So I'd rather just run this kind of stuff than a trick like Restoration Angel. We've got Rock's Charger. It's pretty underpowered, and it has Trample, I guess. I mean, that's some evasion. But we've got enough other evasion creatures, and the 4-drops we are running are stuff that make our dudes just hit for more. Like, I'd rather run some evasion creatures, cheaper evasion creatures, so that those are already on the board, and then I play my 4-drop that pumps up those evasion creatures. That just works out better. And this guy is a little underwhelming. But I guess it's another mono-colored card that isn't white, so if you want to run some mono green cards, I guess there's your option, right? We've got Ivory Mask here, just not really a point to this one. Faith's Reward, again, not really a point to this one. I don't know what it's doing in this deck. At least with Ivory Mask, I get it, because the flavor kind of fits for green-white. But otherwise it doesn't have any purpose in the deck. But Faith's Reward, I'm just confused. I'm just confused with this one. It's a combo card. Like if you have 1 billion mana and you've got Martial Coup, then you can mass wipe the board and then play Faith's Reward and get all your stuff back. But, we've got the same trick with a Dauntless Escort, and we don't need 1 billion mana for it that way, so I don't know. This is just a weird card. I guess if there was sideboarding in the game, maybe against the mass removal deck, you could sideboard this in, but other than that, I don't see what it's doing there. This guy is just really underwhelming for 5 mana when you look at Finest Tower in comparison. So, I mean, it's even worse than our 4-drops. So, yeah. In fact, it's worse than our 3-drops. Huh. Yeah, don't really see the point in running this one. Got Battle Grace Angel. You could run this one. It's not terrible. I think it's a little bit below the curve, but if you want another 5-drop, this isn't a bad one. I think I'd add that one rather than any of the other 5-drops options available. We got Battleflight Eagle. This is what? I guess if you really wanna desperately combo something with Restoration Angel, then there's your dude. But yeah, I don't understand what it's doing in this deck. In fact, I'd probably not even run this card in Bounce Boon. So, and that's the deck that it actually fits in. So yeah, Privileged Position. Yeah, not really that interested in it. I mean, I guess it could work, but it's another sideboard tech in a game without sideboarding, basically. Skyward Eye Prophets. Yeah, this is potentially useful in the late game, but there are other decks that are more powerful than you in the late game, and the biggest benefit this deck has in comparison with aggro decks is that you can play early dudes that also still have a really powerful role later on in the game. Like, this may not be really huge, like turn 6, but it's still a lifelink 3/4, and it's definitely going to change combat math. So that's the benefit this deck has over the other aggro decks. So why would I, then add high mana cost creatures and kind of, take away that benefit that this deck already has? So there's not really that much point in that. Tosmir Wolfblood, if I wanted the 6-drop, this could work, but I don't. Same goes for Mirror Sigil Sergeant. It can be really nice. I mean, yeah, you get to copy this dude each turn, but it's still just a 4/4 for 6, which is not that great. And I mean, getting multiple copies of this dude would be much better if the guy actually had Exalted. I guess in combination with Sublime Archangel, it'd be good. Yeah, I don't know. I never really played this dude, and it's just, I mean, I guess it could be a good card, but again, it's a 6-drop. I don't need 6-drops in the deck. That's basically what I'm saying. And again, I know you're gonna say, but what about Martial Coup? That's a 7-drop, but it isn't. I can play this earlier and still get benefit out of it. And if I happen to get 7 lands, Martial Coup is going to do great things for me. But I don't have to get the 7 lands to get benefit out of Martial Coup. So that's the difference there. We've got Iridescent Angel, 7-drop, 4/4 flying protection from all colors. And it's quite a... Oh, it's actually a woman. Okay, yeah. I don't know. I guess all the angels are women, but the face looks like a dude's. So I was like, this is the gayest angel I've ever seen, but apparently it's not. So I mean, rainbow colors, right? We got Can I talk? Yes. Okay. Nova Blast Worm, 7 cost, 7/7. When it attacks, destroy all other creatures. Amazing. I mean, if you get this out and you've got a bunch of exalted dudes, it's probably going to swing for lethal and kill everything else while it's at it, and then they're going to have a removal spell in response. Who knows? But either way, I can see this definitely being a great card, but it's 7 mana, so. Phantom Neshoba. Oh, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Trample 0/0, enters the battlefield with 7 +1/+1 counters on it. Oh, so it's a 7/7. When it deals damage, you gain damage life. If damage would be dealt to it, prevent the damage. Remove a +1/+1 counter from Phantom Neshoba. So, what's the point of that? Well, they have to basically kill it 7 times for it to die, which is pretty good. And if you got a way to give it +1/+1 counters again, it could be really, really powerful. I don't know if this deck actually does. I don't think so. Alright, yeah, I remember. So this guy basically never dies if you have equipment on it. So if you could beam a sledge to it, it's never going to die because all damage is prevented. And even though it's going to be a 0/0, it's going to be a 0/0 with +2/+2, because that's what the equipment does. So it's always going to be at least a 2/2 at that point. So I guess that's kind of the point. And I guess this can be really good against a burn deck or something. But again, it's 7 mana. It's really expensive, and I don't need that. We've got Devout Invocation, and yeah, interesting, expensive but interesting. And Imperial Archangel. Expensive, but interesting. So, if you want to, you could end up running this as a more land-heavy deck. And you could include those Skyward Eye Prophets to get to your other high-cost stuff. And, you know, that's a way of running this deck. But personally, I think the real power in this deck is to run it as a pretty low-drop deck that actually benefits a lot from its creatures still doing something in the late game. So that, you know, that's the general mid-range strategy, and that's, I think, the real power of this deck. The way it does it, the way it works best. So that's how I run it, and that's how we're gonna get some gameplay with this in the next video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you guys are looking forward to the next video with the gameplay. Should be coming out the same day. And my name's been Nemo. My name will still be Nemo. Next time, I'll see you then.